You know, I took $5,000 and turned it into $1.6 million in just 4.5 years. So from time to time, people reach out and they say, hey, Kris, make a video and share with me, how did you take $5,000 and do that? So I thought today I would share with you 5 different ways right now you could use $5,000 or less to buy your next properties.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
You know, there's this popular belief that says it takes money to make money. And in the game of real estate, that's true. I mean, banks, when you're doing conventional financing, they want you to put 20% down. If you're buying a $200,000 house, boom, there's $40,000 right there. If you're buying a $400,000 house, all of a sudden that turns into $80,000. But you know, what I also love about real estate is there are always workarounds. And today I'm gonna share with you my 5 favorite hacks for literally how $5,000 can in fact be enough to get into real estate. In fact, I'm gonna share with you 5 different ways. The first of my 5 hacks, it's pretty simple. It's a down payment on a house. And I know what you're thinking. Kris, if I go to a bank and tell them I want to buy a house, they're traditionally going to want to see a 20% down payment. And that's going to be tens of thousands of dollars, not $5,000 or less. What are you talking about? Well, the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, comes out with a number of different loan types, including a first-time homebuyer exclusion.
First time.
And by the way, anytime you're pretty much buying a house to live in, you're going to qualify as a first-time home buyer. And often that's a 3% down payment, not a 20% down payment. So when I bought my very first house, my 3% down payment was literally $3,300. On a $250,000 house, that would be $7,500. So we're talking less than $10,000, and in many areas around the country, it's even less than $5,000. The second hack that I use for getting in on a property with less than $5,000 is a rent to own. Now, you've seen these rent to own signs, right? It's leasing a home with an option to purchase it. And one of my favorite strategies is literally to go through the for rent section, call up landlords and basically say, hey, I want to rent your house, but I'd like to eventually buy it from you. Is that something that you're open to? Can I lease it for a longer period of time and down the road actually purchase it? And if they don't know what they're doing, they'll say yeah, and they won't even ask for a down payment. If they're a little bit more knowledgeable, they might ask for $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 as a non-refundable down payment. And if you do it right, that's a house that you could sublet out to somebody else to actually move in and make the payments on, and you could create some positive cash flow. You could live in this house yourself, but bottom line is, it's a way to get into home creatively. You're basically sidestepping the banks and saying, you know what? I'm not gonna go through the qualification process. I'm not gonna qualify for your down payment. You're not gonna look at my credit history and my job history for the last 2 years.
That's not gonna happen, Rick. It's not gonna happen.
I just found a workaround to get into real estate, and I'm gonna tell you that often that is exactly how I buy homes. I learned how powerful this strategy was when I was working with one of my original mentors. His name was Greg, and he was showing me the ropes of real estate. And one day he said, hey, Kris, you should really check out this property I have in the city next door because it's been great for me. It's had great cash flow. I think you should look at buying it from me and I'll give you a really good price on it. So I went with him, I checked out the home, and sure enough, it had like an accessory apartment, which I could basically rent for a superior cash flow. Everything looked really good, but I didn't really want to go through the bank to buy it. I was practicing a lot of what's called creative real estate, which is banking and money workarounds, just like I'm teaching you right now. And I said, you know what, Greg, you've made a lot of good money on this house, and I appreciate that you're going to get me a good deal on it. I want to do a lease option. Let me own this house through a rental agreement with you for the next 5 years, and then I'll buy it from you. Greg said yes. So I agreed to pay him a certain amount every single month, $1,000. I rented out both sides and brought in $1,500 a month. So I was making the extra $500 every single month. 5 years later, it was time to sell it, and I made tens of thousands of dollars. Greg got his money out when I sold it. I got to make great money when I sold it, but I also made really good money along the way. And here's the cool part. I got into that house for way less than $5,000. There is a third way of actually putting $5,000 to use in the game of real estate. There are large companies out there that will actually pool people's money together and then go and invest in real estate. The first one is called a REIT. It stands for a real estate investment trust. A REIT is a corporation that owns a group of properties or mortgages that produces a continuous stream of income. As a REIT investor, you're entitled to a share of the income generated by the underlying properties. With $5,000, you can do a lot. With a friend who also has money to invest, you can do even more. With a large network of people who are willing to invest, you certainly have the highest chance of reward. Another way to pull money together with real estate is what's called crowdfunding. So you've heard of these crowdfunded Kickstarter campaign projects. Someone says, I want to do this cool thing, throw some money in. You can do that in real estate as well. Real estate crowdfunding platforms are now permitted to accept investments from both accredited and non-accredited investors. That means whether you have a net worth over $1 million or not, or whether you make multiple six figures a year or not, you now can basically throw your money in the pot with these crowdfunding companies, for example, like Fundrise and Equity Multiple. Each crowdfunding site is a little different. Though this sounds like a REIT, there's a lot of crossover between the two concepts. Crowdfunding sites give you a little more control over what type of projects you invest in. You know, we can be so myopic in our view of the world, often thinking, I have to do this all by myself. I'm a lone wolf. I have to have the money to do these deals.
I have to do this alone.
But you know what? This fourth hack is for someone who's willing to think outside the box. It's called finding a financial partner. You see, you may not have all of the money that you need to do a deal, but guess what? Someone else has dedicated the last decade or two of their life to save money or put it in retirement or to basically work on paying off a house, and they have equity. There's people out there that have money. And if you can bring the right vision and possibility or maybe a good deal to the table, if they bring the money to the table, guess what? Now you have the workings of a deal. For example, check this out. There's a lot of people who watch my videos online and they choose to partner with me. And their responsibility as the funding partner is to provide the money and help make decisions, and they get 50% of all the profits for that inside the new entity that we create. But for me, I'm the active partner. I've got a team of experts out there that are hustling, finding the very best deals with really high rates of return. And so my team will research the markets, find the deals, manage the rehab, lease the property, handle the property management, do the accounting, the taxes, sell the home, and ultimately multiply the portfolio. As in, if I go with my financial partner who buys 5 homes, 5 years from now, I want it to be 10 homes. You know, my father-in-law, who thought I was crazy when I bought my first couple of homes as a young college kid, actually became curious by the time I was working on my 4th deal. And when I didn't have the money for it, guess what? He asked me how my other homes were performing. And when he saw the numbers, when he saw the positive cash flow, when he saw the growth, when he saw how I was buying them, it was his idea to pony up the money for the next deal that I wanted. And it was a relief to me because literally I didn't have the money for it. We came together, he put up the money, I made the deal happen. 6 months later, we got out of that deal and we had doubled the money. And I gotta tell you, he was thrilled, I was thrilled. And that led to 50 more deals that we've ended up doing together. So financial partnership is something I really love. But if you like that, I've got something I think that's even better. And it's called a zero cash partner. And of all the ways that you could take $5,000 and invest in real estate, today is the 5th way, but a zero cash partner technically doesn't even really have to bring money to the table. You see my last several thousand homes, they all look identical. They all produce the same really high returns. And a zero cash partner for me is someone that goes out there and says, hey, Kris, I'm going to partner with you and your experts with all of this track record, and I'm going to go out and just find people with money that are unsatisfied with their trajectory for retirement. People that feel like they should be better prepared, but they're not going to be. And Kris, I'm going to refer them to you. And after your team talks to them, if they decide to partner with you, then I take my 50% of the ownership and I split it with you. Let me show you what it looks like. For my zero cash partner, the person that you refer will still provide the money for the deal, help make the strategic decisions, and they're going to get 50%. My 50%, I'm actually going to split between my team that does all the work and you that pretty much goes out there and finds potential partners. Is that crazy or what? That basically means that if you know someone with money sitting in a 401k or an IRA, someone that's been working on paying off their house, they're approaching retirement and they're starting to realize they're not going to have enough money, you might say, hey, check out my partner, Kris Krohn. Check out his YouTube channel. Check out all his deals. And if they look into it and decide to partner with me, then I'll take all of the profits I'm going to get and I'll share them equally with you. Friend, that is the fifth way that you could use $5,000 or less to go out there and actually make real estate happen. Bottom line, those are only 5 ways of using $5,000 or less to start investing in the game of real estate. And you know, the reality is there's a lot of other ways, but sometimes it requires an expert to step in and give you more of a custom game plan. So today, at the end of this video here, I thought of something really fun I want to do. I'm going to actually post my cell phone on the screen right now. And if you have $5,000 or less, or even $2,000 or $1,000, and you want to know different ways to get that in the game of real estate, maybe you liked the conversation today about lease options or finding a financial partner, or maybe partnering with me, all you got to do is text me right now on that number and basically say, hey, Kris, here's how much money I've set aside. Show me different ways of doing real estate. And I'm going to tell you right now that if you text me, it may take me a moment to get to you, but my goal in the next 24 hours is to hit you back and start sharing some of those ideas with you. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope it was useful in helping you figure out your next move. Again, if you're not sure, the link is below with my cell phone. Just shoot me a text and let's connect. By the way, you might be thinking, Kris, even if I don't have $5,000, how do I get more money to do more deals? Recently, I shot a video right here that'll share with you my top 5 ways of how I actually pull money together for doing my deals.
Way faster than when I drive it. Yeah. That's way faster than when I drive it.
Dad!
Go, Daniel.
How do I go faster?
That's as fast as it goes. Hey, do a circle.